but I'm not deciding, the reason that Billie's family, as you point out, is such a fundamental aspect of her narrative is because they're such a fundamental aspect of her narrative. It's the truth. And the reason we see her emerging both as a young artist and as a young woman is because that's what was going on with her.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you again. Always a fun time. I know last time we talked about the Belushi doc.
Yeah.
So this time we get to talk, and I know we briefly touched on Billie Eilish, and now got to see it. And at this point, I expect just great work from you all the time, no matter what. Something is going to be so fresh and new every time you do a film or a documentary. It's just like, how can you top yourself? And this was a heck of a interesting story. I mean, I learned so much about Billie Eilish that I had no clue about, just like mainstream wise that I knew about. Wanted to start out asking you right away, RJ, how did you get involved with this? And because I was trying, while watching it, I was trying to picture, like, were you there behind the lens, or was this like home footage that was given to you too? Like, how did this work? Because it seemed like you might have been a fly in a wall in that room that no one knew about filming this, but also maybe you were given, maybe they were recording on their end too. So I wanted to know kind of your involvement and how did the filming process kind of evolved over time.
Well, we filmed with Billie for a year.
Mm.
We started filming with her in early 2019, and we wrapped at the after the Grammy, so at the end of January of 2020. So we filmed with her for a year, and we filmed well over 1,000 hours. I think we shot something like 140 days, and but Billie's family it's a family of self-recordists. They kind of document their whole lives, and as a result, there was not only a lot of footage of Billie, her childhood, but her early career as well. And then I believe it was Justin Lubliner, who runs Darkroom, which is their label that over at Interscope,
Mm-hmm.
had the idea to put a GoPro in the bedroom while they were writing some songs,
Mm-hmm.
and so we received hundreds of hours of family footage, songwriting footage, other things like that. So I've done a lot of work in my career combining subject shot footage with footage that we've shot. We American High, which was our first television series that won the first Emmy Award for nonfiction television series, was all a combination of our footage with footage shot by the subjects. We did a series called Freshman Diaries, similarly, a series called Military Diaries, similarly, and a series called The Residents, where young physicians also filmed while in addition to our footage. So we've worked in this way extensively, and it's an incredibly rich perspective because some of the footage in our movie is seen for uniquely through a mother's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Maggie's holding the camera, and if we had been in the room, I think we wouldn't have captured the footage that she was able to capture. Although we, of course, pride ourselves on our subjects being incredibly comfortable and true to themselves when we're with them, but there's still nothing like not being with them and having the footage. And we were able to we were the great beneficiaries of Maggie's shooting, of Billie and Phineas turning on the camera when they were writing, and of just plain old family archive. And then we even have some footage that Billie shot, the footage in the backyard where she's conceiving the music video for When the Party's Over is all shot, through her camera. So we have a lot of great stuff.
It's interesting because, like, the first thing you notice is like, whoa, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's sort of fairly lengthy for a
Is it?
documentary.
Is it?
It could be. It could be.
How long was Hoop Dreams?
Oh, well, that was like what, 3 hours, I think?
Yeah, that's a lengthy film. Or
Yeah.
how about Woodstock? How long was Woodstock?
Well, Woodstock forever to a point where
Yeah,
it was like a mini series. It
but
would be.
this was 2 hours and 20 minutes. That feels like this is, I don't know. I didn't think it was that. I don't think it's long. We give you an intermission if you need to go pee, or if you want to get a sandwich, or even if you want to watch the second half tomorrow. I mean, it's on TV. I don't think it's long. I think you get bang for your buck. It's $4.99 a month on Apple. You get a 2 hour and 20 minute movie you can watch every day for a month. That's pretty good.
I think it's no, but what the length is, I'm actually trying to make a point that it's actually a good. Like, I'm wondering how much in the cutting room floor did you leave that you couldn't include? Were you thinking about even making this longer? Because what makes this kind of like you include them doing the music and whatnot, which obviously prolongs it. I appreciate that you left the clips in of them practicing. You see almost certain songs, I mean, being included in it too, which gives it a whole other aspect to it. You see the performances.
Sure.
In that. How much did you include everything you wanted in this film, or were some stuff with now with the footage that she shot that you got from them and the stuff you did? How much was there potentially on a cutting room floor that you didn't want to include, or did you get all the stuff that you really wanted to? Because I know that could be sometimes as a filmmaker, in a sense, a struggle. What do you include? Do you have to leave out some things you really like personally that maybe doesn't fit in to the full aspect of the story? You have to
Well,
narrow it
there,
down to
yeah.
220.
Yeah, well, you're right. There's always footage that you love, but that doesn't fit the
Mm-hmm.
film for one reason or another. And there are plenty of deleted scenes, but this is the director's cut of the movie. This is if you told me I could add or subtract anything from the film, I wouldn't touch a frame of it. I had final cut, and
Uh-huh.
everybody respected that I had final cut and supported that. And it doesn't mean I didn't get feedback, but all the decisions were my decisions, and this is the film I wanted. And down to the intermission and to the 2 hour and 20 minute length, this is how I wanted it. And from Apple to Interscope to Darkroom to Billie's team and family, everybody, and Billie herself, everybody was completely supportive, which is a beautiful thing. But there's some interesting scenes that may one day see the light of day that weren't included in the film for various reasons, because perhaps because it's part of a story that we felt was stronger. Less is often more. Even
Mm-hmm.
in a 2 hour and 20 minute movie, less is often more. And there's some beautiful performances that we chose not to include because, again, often less is more.
Interesting. When you're working with someone like Billie, who's a creative herself, and the whole family is in that aspect.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you got your director's cut version. How was kind of the collaboration with her about, in a sense, did you decide the story of what you wanted to, like, how to, in a sense, how you wanted to be seen and perceived, the aspect of her connection? I think it stands out. The aspect of her connection with her fans, I think, is a big highlight of this film in a way, and also obviously her relationship with her family. I think those are the two major key points of this film. Did she have any sort of different vision, or she was like right on kind of the vision that you wanted to kind of portray the light of her and her story?
We didn't discuss her vision. It wasn't a project based on her vision. It was a
Hmm.
project based on my vision. But I need to be clear. This is, you ask if I decided what the story was. I didn't decide what the story was. Life decided what the story was. The gods decided what the story was, because we captured what happened. This is what happened, that as we witnessed it in the year that we spent with Billie Eilish. So it's not me making a decision. It's certainly me shaping the film and making sure that what I witnessed is portrayed and is engaging and entertaining and dramatic and emotionally truthful a way as possible. But I'm not deciding. The reason that Billie's family, as you point out, is such a fundamental aspect of her narrative is because there's such a fundamental aspect of her narrative. It's the truth. And the reason we see her emerging both as a young artist and as a young woman is because that's what was going on with her. And so, but Billie, for all of her the control that she does have over every creative aspect of her work and her life, really. Um, she was not interested in having creative control over this movie
Mm.
because that's not the deal we made. You know, and we made that deal the day we met. I was very excited when I met her about the possibility of making a film together, and it definitely is something you do together because it's a collaboration between her life and my filmmaking. But I did say to her when we met, you know, I have to have final cut because what's the point otherwise? You know, who wants to see a movie about someone where they have final cut? And there are movies like that like if an artist manager has final cut, what is you know, everybody can make up their own mind as to what that is, but
Hmm.
when I make a movie, I have final cut.
I like that because, like, you know, in this industry, sometimes the talent dictates their version of it, especially if they have a lot of say and have a lot of stroke in that sense.
Well,
And
Billie was very supportive
mhm.
of this approach, and I think it's a reason. It has a lot to do with why the response to the film has been so strong.
Yeah.
It's this is this is what happened.
What surprised you during this filmmaking process of this film? Because obviously, when you're doing documentaries, you put in some time over the years. Just not only, especially with this one, you're kind of following a person's life in a sense, and documenting their day to day. Is there anything that kind of struck you, either in the editing room or throughout the process, that you maybe weren't aware of going into it?
Well, everything is, you're not aware of anything going into it. You do because you're looking to see what life brings you. And
Mhm.
there none of us can predict what life will bring us. We can try, we can hope, we can want. But I find that trying to predict the future or hoping for something or wanting something is not productive to my filmmaking. My filmmaking is about seeing, and my filmmaking is just about trying to be as in the moment, the present moment, as possible. And then the next thing happens. So you're in the next moment and you're as present as possible in the next moment. So you can see it as clearly as possible. And then you can tell it as clearly as possible. I put want aside when I'm making a film. I don't care what happens to Billie. I care as a person, but as a filmmaker, my only want is to see as clearly as possible. And as a result, I'm not frequently surprised because I'm not expecting a certain thing and then another thing happens. I'm just looking to see it all as clearly as possible.
It's an interesting She's an interesting individual. I mean, a lot of creatives are, and her career is just constantly rising and rising. At the point when you were approached with why, I guess my question is, why was it her that you wanted to do a documentary on? I mean, did you see when before you, I don't know what time, when did the process start exactly with this whole thing, but clearly she's become a megastar over the past couple years, and she's been keeps on her with her music and her worldwide fame. Why was it her initially that you decided to do a documentary on? Did you get any sense or a feeling, or what? What kind of made you decide I'm going to do a film about Billie Eilish?
Well, I was invited to meet with her and her family at their home, and I went to the house that you see in the movie,
Hmm.
and they were recently back from a trip to Asia, and the house was bursting at the seams with clothing racks and boxes of sneakers and other things that she had been sent, gifts that she had been sent, and packed and unpacked suitcases. They were kind of transitioning and getting ready to go on another trip, and we all went into the backyard and sat around the picnic table and had a chat. And you ask, why did I decide to make a movie about Billie? It's because I met her, and meeting her was enough for me. I was instantly engaged. She's a fascinating person and extremely compelling, to as you see in the movie. And I thought to myself, here's a kind of remarkable opportunity to tell a story about a young artist coming of age and a young woman coming of age, and that those two stories about this one person would resonate with each other in a really compelling way that would be very engaging to me. This was a story I wanted to see unfold, and this was a story I wanted the opportunity to tell.
I'm curious what your process is with these documentaries, because you've really hit on some home runs. I mean, with the Belushi one, especially the last two, and your previous work, no question too. What is it, an instinct thing or a connection when meeting someone that you decide? Because I'm guessing you get a lot of different stories and pitches, or opportunities to do films on other people, whatnot. But what is it for you that you, in a sense, seek out, or how do you know that this is a story I want to tell? Is it a feeling or more of a communication kind of connection when you meet them? How do you know this is what you want to take on?
I mean, I think on one level, it's fair to say it's always something different. It can be a personal connection that you feel. John Belushi was a big part of my life. I was 14 years old when Saturday Night Live premiered, and I had been a fan of his even before that, through his work on the National Lampoon Radio Hour, and so I was very excited about the opportunity to tell his story. Billie, I met. Anna Wintour, I met. The Vice President Cheney, I met, and it was upon meeting these guys that I thought, my curiosity, and this is the thing that is the common thread. My curiosity was sparked. Your curiosity has to be sparked because that's what's going to fuel you for the 2 years you're going to spend on one of these projects. It's about 2 years. If you're filming, it's about a year of filming. And if you're editing, it's about a year of editing. And in the case of Belushi, we didn't really film, we just edited, but it was a 2-year process all by itself. With Billie, we filmed for a year, we edited for a year. So, but I'm curious to this day. I look at the film and I'm fully engaged in every moment of it. You're looking, you're going to be making a pretty massive work of narrative art, and that's you're gonna want to work on that thing for 2 years. So you better be compelled by the subject. And I think it's just that. It's what it's what drives me, really. My curiosity about other people, about the worlds in which they live, about the lives they live, is just a thing that is who I am. And I love to tell their stories. I love the privilege of having life and having the opportunity to harness life and make my own art out of it that's, beholden to the truth, but is in and of itself my very personal creation. So as I say, it is a collaboration between the life that Billie is living and the work, the filmmaking that I'm doing. And that's that's a great privilege. It's and a thrill. It's and a real pleasure.
Last time we talked, I'm curious, because who are you curious about to do this? I know last time we talked, you mentioned Steve Cohen as someone that you had
Has he called you to tell you?
No, I have not heard from him.
What's he waiting for?
I've even tweeted at him. Okay?
Tweet at him again, for crying out loud. How long is he going to wait? He could be the next Billie Eilish. Does not Steve Cohen wish to be the next Billie Eilish? Here's his chance, for crying out loud. How many more times do we have to ask?
He should, RJ. I tried to make that bridge. I tweeted at him.
Mets fans, gather. Do you have my back? Where's my mug? Here's my coffee mug.
There you go. Still got it.
Come on, let's do it. Let's get this thing done. The people want to know. The world according to Stephen Cohen. That's the movie we're making.
Is that really the thing you really would want to? Is that the person you're kind of would love to tell a story about? I'm kind of curious. Anyone on your mind? I know Steve Cohen was one. I think that'd be great. It would be great to see a Steve Cohen story. I think it'd be fascinating.
Come on, dude. Let's go. We'll have a couple of announcements coming up of exciting projects that
Okay.
I'm very much looking forward to. But indeed, Mr. Cohen is on my very short list of those who I would like to lure into the process. And wouldn't it be interesting to follow his journey as this person who's coming from the world he's coming from, and enormously successful,
Yep.
a Mets fan since childhood. Look, he as a young man, a teenager, he bagged groceries so he could afford to take the LIRR from Great Neck to Shea Stadium, get off at Willets Point and Shea Stadium, and go and sit in the bleachers. It probably cost $3-4 a ticket, but he had the money because he had bagged the groceries, and he'd sit in the stands and watch his favorite team, and was there in 1969 when the year of the Miracle Mets, and got to experience that. Well, that guy grows up to be an enormously successful finance figure who makes a ton of money, billions of dollars, and can afford to buy the New York Mets. And now he's the owner of the team. Let's see what that's going to be like. Wouldn't you want to follow that story?
Oh my God, that's a crazy story. That's like a dream. You know what I mean?
What are we waiting for? I gotta go. I gotta go start.
I love it.
You gotta get him. You gotta persuade him to.
I'm doing my round 2 now. I'm going to round 2 approach now.
Exactly.
Coming at this.
We're being patient, but the time has come, man.
And the proof is in the pudding, right, RJ? I mean, he can see the work you've done. Yeah.
Send him my resume.
Exactly.
All I want is a meeting.
Are you focused now on documentaries? Because it seems like it's a passion, and it takes, like you mentioned, documentaries are time consuming. There's a lot longer time to doing like a feature or
no.
Really?
They all take a long time. I mean, yeah, you talk to a filmmaker about how many years. I mean, they all of these projects take a long time. The fiction, nonfiction, there's there's no short path. These are massive operations, whether in the documentary space or in the narrative space, and they're resource intensive, and resources include time and money and creativity, and they take a lot. There's a lot going on, whether you're talking documentary or narrative. But I love filmmaking, and I love television producing, and we're doing a lot of different things. Although at the moment, almost all of what I'm doing is in the nonfiction space. But we have some awesome narrative projects that I'm really excited about too. And you develop them and you work on them for years, and then the opportunity to actually make them bubbles up at different times. So you at any given moment between projects, you're kind of assessing what your opportunities are and which thing you've been developing that looks like it's ready to go. And that's how you move forward through your options.
Would you say that you have more creative control on a documentary than on a feature? I know you like to do editing. You like to be fully involved in a process with most of your projects, not just coming in and to do a directorial thing and let others do in a sense. You like to be fully immersed in them. Do you feel you have more kind of creative control on a documentary that you decide to do?
Well, you don't. I mean, it's a lovely philosophical question you're posing, because do you have any control in a documentary when you're filming life? I mean, as I say,
no, not in that aspect.
Gods who are in control. Who was it? Was it Orson Welles who said that with a narrative feature, the director is God, and with a documentary, God is the director, and that there's something like that at play, but I can't really do that mathematical equation. You'll forgive me, but they're both deeply satisfying in different ways and very exciting. And so too is creating a television series. Nashville. I conceived Nashville from scratch. The idea to do a television series where the city was a character, and that was about a city and its music, and then to kind of build the characters from there, and the enormously talented Oscar winner Kelly Curry came on board, and we collaborated to create the pilot script and then to make the pilot. And then, you know, I directed the first couple of episodes, and that's a very rich experience in and of itself. And you're creating this thing that has chapters that go on for years and years. That's very exciting. All of these different forms are exciting. Feature films, of course, are very exciting to make. But you know, I find it all very rich, and I count my blessings that I get to work in these different areas.
You know, wanted to end off by asking you, what are you doing these days? And when you're not working, because I know you work a lot. Clearly, like one movie's coming out after the other. But are you getting ready for baseball season? We're now going to have a semblance of hopefully like a real season coming up. And as a Mets fan, you guys got Lindor and everything.
Yeah, it's a good year for the Mets. We're very excited. We're very excited about our new owner, except his reticence to allow his a film to be made about him. But but other than that, we're incredibly excited about the upcoming season. You know, hope springs eternal for baseball fans. Personally, our family's growing. We're expecting a third child in the next month or two. So
great!
Very excited about that. You know, it's people are starting to get vaccinated, and that's incredibly exciting. We see healthy sunny days around the corner, so we can get out of this pit that the whole world has been in. We're excited about democracy. Democracy is back.
A lot's changed since I talked to you in the fall.
That's right. Yeah. Things have changed, and things change. That's life. That's what life is. So anyway, and work is busy. So thank you for asking, but we're looking forward to April 1, the start of the season. And I don't want to give out my email address, but Mr. Cohn can reach me on Twitter at any time.
That's right.
Follow him so he can DM me, and we can go from there, and we'll know who to thank for helping us get together.
I'm told you I'm gonna try another round of effort to make this happen. That'd be fascinating to see your work, and like you said, there's a personal connection. There was a personal connection there, right?
Wait, his mom was my brother and sister's piano teacher, for crying out loud.
Unbelievable.
She was in our house twice a week. Yeah. So I know you'll do good work, and I look forward to hearing from you.
You got it. RJ, always a blast to catch up with you, and I always enjoy knowing that there's something coming out from you. So once again, the 220, I meant it in a good way, because I was wondering how many cuts you had to do. But
I'm on a soapbox to get people to say 220. Where's the extra half hour?
That's right.
What's wrong with 250?
Hey, when it's good quality filmmaking, like you said, movies like Hoop Dreams and stuff, you can watch 3-4 hours, because you just can't. It's all about the filmmaking. If it's compelling subject, it's compellingly done, you can watch it and lose track of time.
How long was that darn Godfather movie?
That's right, too. Yeah, exactly.
All right, friend. Great to see you.
Talk to you soon again, RJ.
Okay. Take care. Thanks.